Silas Vance stood in the rain. It didn't wash him clean. It made his greasy hair stick to his head. It soaked his thin jacket. It turned dirt to mud on his sunken face. He looked at a blue house across the street. It was peeling. A weak yellow light shone upstairs. His mother Delilah and sister Leela lived there. They don't know, he thought, but they feel it. They feel the badness in me now. His hand in his pocket touched a cold, smooth locket. He stole it from Agatha Miller's knit stand. He shivered, not from cold. He crossed the broken street. His old shoes made wet sounds on the sidewalk. He climbed the metal stairs outside the house. It felt hard, like climbing a wet rock. Each step echoed a sound in his head. The sound of the fire poker hitting old Mrs. Miller's head. He told himself she was bad. A wolf dressed like a nice church lady. She took everything from his friend Leo with unfair loan costs. Leo jumped off the Foundry Street Bridge last winter. One bad life gone to save others. Simple math. But now, the numbers screamed in his head, becoming bad dreams. He knocked. The sound was lost in the rain. The door opened. His mother's face was pale as paper under the hall light. Lines showed years of worrying. Delilah Vance's eyes went wide. Shock and relief filled them. Silas, her voice broke. She grabbed his arm, pulling him into the hot, small room. It smelled of old coffee, cheap cleaner, and something sharp under wet wool. Blood. His mind screamed. Look at you. So wet and so pale. Her fingers touched his cheek. She pulled back at his icy skin. The walls seemed to move softly in the dim light. Got caught in the rain, he mumbled. Looking away, he saw the question in her eyes. Where? What did you do? But she hid it, like always. Never mind, she said fast, pushing him to a chair. Sit. Get warm. I won't ask. Things are hard, Jonah explained. You have your own troubles. She forced a weak smile. He brought that story, the one you wrote. I read it 3 times. Her pride was thin over fear. Some smart words I didn't get, but I knew. I told Leela, that's my Silas's sharp mind. She pushed the thick magazine into his hands. Silas stared at his own words about right and wrong. For a second, he felt the old thrill, seeing his thoughts printed. Then the words blurred, twisting. L-I-A-R, killer. The magazine felt hot. He threw it on the table. The slap was loud. Delilah jumped but kept talking softly. People talked after you left college. They said you were breaking, unsteady. Even Leela said things. She paused. Fools. They don't understand a bright mind. It always costs something. These clothes, this house, none of it matters. Your rise, Silas. Your mind will take you up. Her eyes fell on dark, stiff patches on his jeans near the knees. The rain hadn't washed them away. He couldn't take it, the love, the faith placed on him. A killer, Mom. His voice was rough. Promise me, no matter what happens, no matter what you hear, you'll always love me. All the color left her face. Silas, baby, what kind of question is that? There's nothing anyone could say. Just promise. His voice cut her off. Tears ran down her cheeks. I came to say I love you, more than anything. Please remember that, no matter what they say I did. A sob broke from her. She pulled him into a tight hug, her body shaking. He felt her fear cold and real. I knew, she whispered into his wet shoulder. I felt it coming, like thunder. I couldn't sleep. Leela cries for you, and tonight, when I opened the door and saw your eyes, she shook. Where are you going? Silas. Away, he whispered. The word felt like dust. I have to go. I'll come with you. We all will. Leela, Jonah, even Sarah, that nice girl you walk home sometimes. No. He stepped back gently, but firm. Alone. Just pray for me, Mom. Maybe your prayers can reach where mine can't. He had lost his faith years ago. Now he begged for it. Tears streamed down her face. She made the sign of the cross on his forehead with her shaky thumb. God keep you, my son, and bring you back whole. For a moment, the hate inside him loosened. He felt like a child again. He dropped to his knees and pressed his head against her hands. He kissed her old slippers, and hot, silent tears fell. She didn't ask anything. She just held his head, her sadness heavy with knowing. Just like when you were 10, she wept. After your father left, you held me. I knew then, when we moved here, I saw it in your eyes. I felt the dark. I'll come back, he whispered. A lie. It tasted bad. Is it far? She asked softly. Further than you know. What's there? Whatever justice wants, he said. The words tasted like metal and dirt. Just pray. He stood up. The moment ended. At the door, she grabbed his arm, her eyes wide with fear. You will come back. Promise me, Silas. I promise, he said again. Another lie. Goodbye. He pulled away and stepped into the wet night. The rain had stopped. The air smelled of wet road, rotting leaves, and the sour smell from the dead steel mill. He walked fast, head down, toward his room above the empty hardware store. He had to finish before dark. The stairwell smelled like mold, old beer, and sadness. As he reached the top, Mrs. Henderson's door opened a crack. Her wet, suspicious eye stared out. "Someone was looking for you, Vance," she rasped. "Earlier. Looked like police." He ignored her, working the cold key. The lock clicked. He pushed the door open. Leela stood by the dirty window. The setting sun made purple and orange light through the dirty glass. She turned slowly. Her face, usually smart, was carved with horror. Her eyes held no question, only terrible knowing. "She knows," Sarah told her. "Should I come in?" he asked, voice flat. "I've been with Sarah all afternoon," Leela said, voice tight, holding back tears. "We waited, hoped." She pointed weakly to the room's only chair. Sarah was gone, just Leela, silence, and the heavy weight of what he'd done. He sank into the chair, strength gone. "I'm weak," Leela wanted to be strong when I told you, but I'm empty. He rubbed his face, walked all night by the Foundry River, thought maybe it'd be clean. Just step off the pier, let the water take it. He looked at her, saw the pain. Too weak for that too. "Thank God," she breathed. "Sarah, we were so scared." "So, you still want to live?" Hope was thin. A bitter smile twisted his lips. "Don't have faith, Leela." "Not anymore." "But," I cried, in Mom's arms, like a kid. Asked her to pray. He shook his head. "I don't know. I feel haunted." "You told Mom." Leela's voice was sharp with horror. Not the words, but she knew. She feels things. "Shouldn't have gone." Weak. He spat the word. "But you're going to the police," she said. Not asked. "That takes strength, does it?" He looked up. A ghost of his old self. Or is it pride? Couldn't stand being found dead. Another Rust Creek overdose. A loser. "If I ever thought I was better, shouldn't fear that, right?" He laughed, ugly. "You think I was scared of the water? Stop it, Silas." Leela cried. "Tears coming. Just stop." Silence fell, thick as mud. The old wallpaper seemed to move. Silas heard a faint, dry whisper. "Lock it." Cold. He shoved his hand deeper in his pocket. The cold metal bit his palm. He stood up fast, the chair scraping. "Time. I'm going to confess." Though God knows why, the words felt strange. Leela moved fast. She wrapped her arms around him, holding tight, her tears warm on his cold neck. "Do you think I wouldn't stand by you?" she whispered fiercely. The touch sparked anger. He pushed her back gently, but hard. "You think this is about being good, Leela?" he snapped. "I stopped a bloodsucker, a sweet-faced old monster who bled this town dry. Leo jumped because of her. How many more? One bad life gone. The greater good, simple math." His voice rose. The whispers grew louder, dry leaves and sighs filling the room. "I could have helped with her money, fed people, helped others, saved others, but I failed because I'm weak, because I paused when her stupid cat rubbed my leg. I'm just noise and talk." "Silas." Leela's voice was heavy with grief, tears flowing. "You spilled human blood, so does everyone," he yelled. The sound was huge. The bare light bulb overhead flickered madly, throwing wild shadows. "History is blood. Kings, killers, the men who killed the mill. They're praised, put on statues. I wanted justice, to stop bad things, but I messed up, left a sign. I'm not strong, so I'm just a thug. If I'd done it clean, been colder, I'd be a hero," he panted, sweat on his brow. The whispers became one dry, woman's laugh, seeming to come from the wall. Leela went white, her eyes wide with terror. He saw her fear, the ghostly dread, and something broke inside. The fire went out, he slumped, anger gone, leaving only cold emptiness. "If I'm guilty, forgive me." He looked at her, eyes haunted. "Go to Mom. She's barely holding on. I left her. Promise you'll stay." Jonah will help." Jonah was their rock. Leela nodded silently, wiping her face. "I'll try to live," Silas said, the words like dirt. Maybe I can still do something. Inside prison, make a name. That doesn't shame you." It was a tiny hope. He saw her grab at it, a flash of relief. It shamed him more than the killing. He walked to the old metal desk, pulled out a thick book. Inside was a small, cracked photo. A girl with laughing eyes, unwild dark curls. Jenna, his high school love, dead at 17. A hit-and run on a rainy night. The driver, the mayor's nephew, walked free. He kissed the warm picture, feeling her ghost. He handed it to Leela. Her hands shook. "She hated bullets," he said softly. "Would have called me a coward. I'm glad she never saw this." He paused, the emptiness colder. "Everything breaks now, changes, and I'm not ready. They say pain cleans. What does 20 years in Stonehaven prison teach? How to break rocks, how to disappear. He shuddered. This morning, by the river, staring into that dirty water, I saw the bottom. How far I fell. They left without another word. The hallway felt colder. Mrs. Henderson's door stayed shut. Outside, streetlights made long shadows on the wet road. They walked in silence, only the drip of water and a far-off crane sound. Leela stopped under the broken sign of a dead diner. She turned back, her face sad and scared in the ugly light. Silas kept walking. He felt her look like a weight. He stopped, turned, saw her there, small and alone against the rot of Rust Creek. The boarded shops, the painted walls, the bones of dead work. Hot shame hit him. He made a sharp, angry gesture with his hand. Go, leave me. Then turned fast and walked into the black mouth of an alley between two dead buildings, a shortcut to the police station. He vanished into the dark. I'm poison, he thought. Why do they hold on? Why love what's rotten? If they'd just let go, maybe the rot would stop. He walked deeper into the alley. It got narrow fast. High walls blocked the weak street light. The air got colder, dead still, damp like a grave. The whispers started again, not just in his head. They drifted on the air, rustled from smelly trash cans, skittered on the broken ground. Locket, Silas, cold. The sound was dry, like Agatha Miller's thin voice. He grabbed the stolen locket. The metal felt suddenly freezing, burning cold. He pulled it out. The cheap gold heart shone dull. He hadn't opened it since that night. Now, scared worse than prison, with shaking fingers, he opened the tiny clasp. Inside wasn't family pictures. It was a tiny, detailed drawing on yellowed stuff. A symbol, a snake eating its own tail, making a circle around a single, open, staring eye. A wave of sickness hit him. A memory flashed. Mrs. Miller's strong grip on his wrist as he grabbed it. Her milky eyes staring. A whisper. It ceased. The whispers got louder around him. A crowd of dry, scraping voices filling the alley, pushing in. The shadows on the wet brick walls seemed to move, making shapes. An old woman bent over, a poker raised high, shining with no light. Raw panic grabbed him, not fear of jail, terror of something old, hungry, and very wrong that Agatha Miller had known. He ran, tripping over trash, crashing into a trash can, scrambling for the weak light at the alley's end. For the police, the whispers became a screaming noise. The moving shadows felt like cold fingers on his neck. He burst out onto the empty town square, gasping for air. The locket gripped like frozen pain in his fist. Sergeant Frank O'Malley was getting out of his police car near the old war statue. His flashlight cut a shaky path through thick, strange fog. He saw Silas, messy, wild-eyed, smelling of panic. Vance, everything okay? You look like death. His voice was rough, careful. Silas stopped on the whetstones, chest heaving. He looked at the sergeant's face, then at the locket. The symbol seemed to pulse with a sick green light in the flashlight beam. The whispers stopped dead. A heavy silence fell. The streetlights around the square blinked once, twice, then went out. Only O'Malley's flashlight beam stayed, a thin, shaking tunnel in the thick black. Sergeant Silas's voice was a scratch. He stepped forward, raising his hand. The open locket dangled, the symbol glowing. I need to confess to the Miller murder. Agatha Miller. The words hung in the choking dark. O'Malley's beam steadied on Silas's terrified face. Miller murder. Mrs. Agatha Miller. Found today. His voice was tight. That's your confession. You know your rights. Silas opened his mouth. He wanted to say about the broken lock, the heavy poker, the awful sound. But before words came, O'Malley's flashlight beam jerked up. It pointed straight up, against the sergeant's hold. It lit up the high-arched window of the old bank across the square. Mrs. Miller's old place, boarded up for years. One rotten board had fallen off. In the dirty, cobwebbed window, clear in the sharp light, was a face, pale as wax, thin, framed by white hair stuck to a high forehead. Agatha Miller's face. Her eyes were wide open, milky and blind, but her lips were stretched in a grin to wide, showing sharp, yellow teeth. Then, slowly, she winked. O'Malley cursed, a scared sound, fighting with the light. The beam swung wildly, lighting fog, the statue, empty benches, then snapped back to the window. The face was gone, only dust and broken glass. What in hell's name? O'Malley gasped, face white, turning back to where Silas stood. The spot was empty, only the smell of electricity, wet stone, and something like old, dry paper. On the wet stones where Silas Vance had stood, lit by the sergeant's shaking beam, lay a cheap gold locket, sprung open. Inside, the tiny snake and eye glowed with a mean, green light that pulsed softly with O'Malley O'Malley's racing heart. The cold got deeper, stealing his breath. On the air came the faintest echo of dry, papery laughter. It seemed to come from the fog, the boarded buildings, the ground itself. Sergeant Frank O'Malley stood alone in the silent, heavy dark. He stared at the locket. The unspoken confession hung in the air. He knew, with a deep dread, that this was worse than murder. Agatha Miller's story wasn't closed. It was drowned in something awful. Silas Vance was gone, eaten by the hungry dark. Rust Creek had taken another soul, but the bill wasn't paid. The snake had closed its circle. The eye was still open, watching.